Good morning, everybody. I am going to be painting watercolor kits today. So you're going to see me kind of what I call tandem painting. I will have one butterfly moth and one garden art. I'm not sure which one yet, though. Maybe this one. I'm going to kind of go back and forth between these two cards today. Natura Craft and Create has these really awesome watercolor sets where they give you the cards. The cards are on cold press, and they give you paints. Look at all these dot cards. You get 3 sets of dot cards per set. You also get one of these little water-loaded watercolor brushes. I won't be using that. Hi, Sunshine! Because personally, these are not my favorite. But for those of you who do like these, it's pretty awesome, especially that you get a little small one for a travel purpose. And these are the brushes I will be using today. I will be using my Artify. I like the size. I get to kind of go back and forth between the different shapes today as I'm coloring. I probably won't use this. This is pretty big for what I'm going to be doing. I might go in a little bit more loose today. I may not stick super close to the watercolor palette that goes with the butterflies or the moths. I might kind of pick my own, but we'll see. It does come with this as well. These little watercolor palettes are pretty cool. You can put paint in them from the dot cards and mix if you want, but you do get a lot of paints. I just don't know if you really need to mix on these. I still might, but we'll see what happens. They also come with these really awesome color mixing charts and watercolor technique guides to kind of go with you. So what I'm going to do is I think what I might do is for one of these moths or butterflies, I might actually test out some colors on the mixing palette today. I'm going to go ahead and swap out this brush set and put the actual set in. So we're going to do the butterflies first for sure. So let me push that up into my pins. Hold on just a second. I actually did, so this was like last week, I think. I did this moth, the Luna moth. That was really fun. I do like to add mixed media, so that will probably also be included in this today. And then I also did this sea green swallowtail. And what's nice is with these kits, hey, how are you, my friend? They come with color guides. So you can use the color guides. You don't have to. I did. So I did this one-ish and this one-ish. See, it's always going to be in your own style, though, right? Like your work is never going to look like the guide. And if it is, you are incredible and I praise you. But generally speaking, you kind of lean into what you're comfortable with on these. And if you're a real beginner, then you're really going to probably want to swatch first on this paper. It'll get you used to the paper that the cards are painted on, or that the sketches are done on that you're going to paint. And I'll show you how I would use them today. But let me first pick which butterfly I'm going to use, and then maybe we'll tap into those gardenscapes as well. Okay, so we have a dotted glory butterfly. The only thing I would suggest for the company that does this, if they would label these, so I'm not like, wait, which one is this? Like, I'm looking at this one and I'm like, dotted glory. I think it's this one right here. I think it's that one. Yep, it's that one. So this one and this one are the dotted glory. I might actually do that one today. That would be fun. I like the colors in that one. I'm really leaning into the blues on a lot of these as well, like the blue greens and stuff. So let's do that. We're going to do this guy here, this dotted glory butterfly. But you can see these are all pre-printed cards. And if you know me at all, you know I don't like to paint butterflies loose because they're so symmetrical. And I don't feel like I can do symmetrical butterflies very well, unless I'm doing just like a side angle. But here's all the cards that it comes with. Awesome, right? And the other set that I also have, this is the garden set. So just to give you an idea, same exact paper, different paints. And when I was talking, I think it's Emma and Andy, I think they're the owners of this company. When I was talking to them, these paint cards, they're dots, but they're all paint, okay? You would just add water to these and you can paint right off them. They also gave me this little shimmery set. I'm gonna try and use this today. But these do have a discount on them for today. So if you take a look, let me see. I think these kits are $10 off today. $10 off, that's huge. So that's what, like 20, 30% off? That's a pretty good deal. So, but they come with these paint cards. And these paint cards, the paint themselves is created from another small business. So this company is a small business, and then another small business. So this company is a small business, and then in owning this business, they basically pre-print the cards. I'm guessing they do the illustrations. In owning this business, they basically pre-print the cards. I'm guessing they do the illustrations themselves in pre-print. I should probably ask them directly. And then they either make the paints themselves, or they have another small business, a woman-owned business that also makes the paint. So I think between the two companies, they're making the paint themselves. These aren't anything like branded out there, which also very cool. Is this a shimmer? Oh, these look like shimmers. Ooh, might have to play with that too. And you get 3 of these paint dot cards, which with the sets that you buy. So this one I got with the butterfly set, and this one I got with the butterfly set. I don't know where my third one is that I got. No, this one. No, not that one. This one I got with the butterfly set. So I got these 3, I believe, with the butterfly set. And with this garden set, I got these 3, which is very cool. And then the butterfly set came with a guide. The garden set did not. So this is kind of like choose your own colors and hope for the best. And there's, let me count them because I don't even know. One would be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 illustrations in each set, pre-printed on watercolor paper. This one is also 8. I should have just counted the butterflies. That would have been easier. But it's lovely. Hello from Germany. How are you, Chrissy? Thanks for the heart me's. Hey, CJ, I see you. Feel free to heart me at the top. Heart me's are incredibly important to content creators in general, whether you're here for the art or you're here to just participate in the algorithm and give them all the love and attention that it wants. If you heart me someone, if you've got a few coins sitting around in your bank and you heart me your favorite creators, whether it's me or anyone else, that top left-hand corner with the little heart, if you click on it, and it'll give me, first of all, you'd have to join my fan club, which I'm fantastic. You'll love being in my fan club. We're all great here. You will not only get to go back into that heart and collect points for just joining my fan club and hearting me. You also, anytime you comment, you get more points off of that. And then getting like a notification of when I go live, you get points for that. And those points collect after a bit of time, and they are used towards pushing your content out into the FYP. If you are not a content creator and you just want to support your favorite people, it's a great way to do it, but it's not required. I think that's more of a, hey, how do I get content creators to engage with each other? What did I say I was going to do? I was going to do the dotted glory butterfly. Okay. And that came with these sets. And I'm going to move these guys out of it. Well, no, I'll leave them here for now. It also gave me a little shimmer card, which you can also purchase. These are also on their website. Hey, CJ. You'll be happy to know, CJ, I'm using handmade paints. I'm not using the very famous brand ones. I'm just using a small business, a woman-owned business set of handmade paints. All right, so this one, let's go ahead and just swatch out these paints a little bit so you guys can get an idea of what we're working with. Again, the brushes I'm going to use today are my Artify brushes. I like the size of them on this. Probably just going to lean into this brush, this small round 1 brush. I'm just looking right now. Make sure everybody's like not talking to me and I'm not seeing any of the comments because I'm not paying attention. Whoops. Isn't that so smart? Hey, y'all. It's good. It's real good. And I love that it's a small business. Have you guys seen the Emily Rex books, these ones? Because there's lots of authors out there kind of creating these books with these pre-made coloring pages in them that you can paint over. The only problem I have found, now just so that you know, this is what I paid for this at my local art place. I paid $25 for this book. This whole set with the $10 off is $25. And you get the paints, and you get the little swatch, and you get the brush, and you get these little swatching cards to practice on, and you get like 8 illustrations to paint on. And my only other complaint about this company is Emily Rex. And I love this stuff. I bought these because I knew I would use them. But this is hot press, and I'm not a hot press girly. I'm a cold press girly. And if you don't know what hot press is a type of watercolor paper that's very smooth. And it works really well with detail and more precise art. I am not that person. I am more of a mixed media artist, and I prefer my paper to have a little bit of tooth. This is not a very toothy watercolor paper, but let me show you on the back. Maybe you can see a little bit better. You can see that there. Like, it's got a little bit of grit on it, just a little bit. Do you see it a little bit more? And I just prefer painting on that. Now, the paper is pretty thin, but you're working with sketches on these papers, and they probably have to cut costs somewhere. I still obviously am creating really beautiful things on it. So while generally you're going to see me on Meeden paper or Bao-Hung paper, which is very thick cold press, this stuff is fantastic. It is entirely my jam, and I have no problems painting on it. But as I was saying about this, so just be careful. If you've been into these and you've been buying these, this is what I paid. If you look on TikTok, you will find these for prices that are like $6, $8, $13. But if you look at the shipping is extraordinarily high. And they're anywhere from like $9 to $17, $20 shipping. To match up to a cost like this, to match up to the retail, they're kind of playing games. The other thing I noticed is they're removing Emily Lex Studio off the cover. And what does that mean? That means they're copying product and telling everyone that it's theirs. Or they're just trying to cheapen it down and make all of their money off the shipping, not off the actual product. So just be careful. If you're into these books, which they're fabulous, make sure her name is on them. Pay attention to the product shipping, because it will play into how much it costs. Again, I paid for this and it wasn't shipped. I bought it at my local art store that's just trying to make money, right? So just kind of keep that in mind with this particular watercolor book. There are companies that are trying to take money away from her as an artist who created this, and also you as a buyer who is trying to, find a good price. So I do have some of these in my shop, but just be careful. They keep changing the shipping prices on those, and I don't love it. I think these are, let me check the shipping on this. The shipping on these are $4.61 for the pack, unless potentially you buy 2 packs. So if you bought 2 packs today, the shipping would be free. But remember, do you get $10 off? Oh, you would have to spend $50 on that as well. I misspoke. I should have said that earlier. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so $10 off of this if you go over $50. That's the deal from TikTok. And also free shipping. So not a bad deal. Yeah, join that fan club, y'all. Let me lurk in peace. Geez, LOLs. Yes, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing it. I see you. Highest of vibes, for sure, for sure. All right, here we go. Old men ruin everything. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. All right, so let's test out these color palettes that I have here. Let's just see what we got. Let's figure it all out. I'm not going to do much mixing. There's like, 3 times 4? There's 12 on the palette. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 36. So if we've got 36 colors here. So we'll just test them all out. There's no mixing. We're just testing out colors. All right, so let's start with the simple white. If you are unfamiliar with how white watercolor works, the watercolor purists don't feel a need for it. They just work with water and a pigment and just kind of figure out their values along the way with their watercolor ratios. Okay, let's go to the next color. So you can see it kind of, right? Like it's got a bit of a creamy tone to it. Let's see. Oh, you're going to love it, Nicole, I promise. It's really fun. It's just nice to come with everything, especially if you're a beginner. And I'm not a beginner, and I love this stuff. So this has got a lemon yellow vibe. I like that. And then we've got this one, looks like a cadmium orange a little bit. So let's put that down here. Now, I'm telling you guys, I don't like to swatch. It is not my favorite. And I think it's not because I don't like looking at the colors, but more often than not, I lose my swatches. So I'm doing this for you guys so that you guys can see me swatching. This is all for you. I also don't like to swatch because it doesn't feel like productive time for me, but that's a personal choice. I'm just being really like, no gatekeeping here. I'm swatching for you guys. Let's see. All right, so we've got that. That's kind of a cherry red, I would say. And then we've got, hey, Chris, these darker reds here. Now, with this butterfly, I'm not going to even be using most of these reds, I don't think. Oh, this is a pink. This is like a magenta pink. I take it back. See, this is just telling me I should swatch more because I thought that was red. All right. You also include a swatch in your kits for aesthetic appeal, but then realize some artists appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Do you really like swatching, Chris? You're a better person than me. Hello, Tree. Oh, I love you, Tree. I'm so happy you're here. This one is probably, I'm going to guess because I don't actually know. Maybe a Rose Madder. Yeah, that definitely has got a Rose Madder vibe to it. Yeah, CJ, I'll be real excited when I get your paints because they will be pre-swatched and I won't have to worry about it. Also, sometimes I just think the artist is better at swatching than, or not the artist, the creator of the paints, the paint artist, the one who creates the paints, has a better idea of the look that they want us to have than we do. Let's just go ahead and swatch this in here. And again, this is a kit that comes with all of these dot cards. There's enough paint on these dot cards to paint all of the little pre-printed pictures that they give you. And then just a reminder, wait, where did I put it? Oh, we're going to be painting this as soon as I'm done with all of this swatching. We're going to do this Dotted Glory Butterfly. And if you are interested in choosing something for me to paint this week, my goal for today is to get 3 kittens kneading. If you've been on my lives recently, you'll know that I have a kitten in the house who often likes to make her opinion known around here. And her opinion is usually a very happy one. So if you give me one kitten that is needing something, you get to choose what I paint. And you might just get a visit from the purry kitten anyways. CJ, were you here when she was like purring super loudly in the camera because she wouldn't leave me alone? She was like, hey, Mom, I want to lay on your neck. Good morning, Jackie. How are you? I'm going to bind into books. Ooh. You're new to watercolor, Josie? Tell me what you know. Tell me what you want to know. Don't tell me what you know. You probably know nothing because you're new. But tell me what you would like to know about watercolors that I can help you with. Let's see. What else do I got here? Just want to make sure I'm catching everything. Nothing. Perfect. You're a clean slate. So this would be a really good option for you because it comes with all the things that you need. It comes with paints that the crafters for these illustrations gave you knowing that this is what you're going to create. So they give you like 3 sets of these, and they give you a little brush like this. Though, okay, I'm going to go on my high horse a little bit here. This does come off. I think it goes the opposite direction though. I keep fighting with this because I'm not used to these. I feel like I'm have to scroll it in the opposite way. It's like, what is it? Like when you go into the southern hemisphere and the toilets all run the opposite way of the northern hemisphere kind of thing. Like that's what I feel like when I put this on because I'm trying to go this way. You actually have to go this way. But anyhoodle, this is what happens. It's so daunting to go into stores, which is why this kit might be for you, just because it does come with all the things. But here's how this brush works. You would fill in the base of this brush, and then you would cap it. And then at the top is a watercolor cap, like a bit of a watercolor brush. Now, my other beef about this, particularly with this watercolor set, is it's a big brush for some little details on some of these cards. Okay. So like if you look at this, like you see how big that is? Not for me. Like I'm not going to be able to get those details real good, but there are other options. Now it's nice enough for them to put this in here. This makes it like accessible to anyone. Like you don't have to buy anything else but this kit to get all the things. And if you're brand new, realistically, you're going to learn from the supplies you start with. So you're not going to notice really that much of a difference. The other thing I would say is if you happen to have like kids and you have like brushes around the house, you can use your kids' brushes. It's totally fine. I'm going to beef with yours. Did you? CJ. No, it's okay. I didn't tell you. It's not your fault. I forgive you. And I forgive me for making you feel bad. I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry. Okay. But I'm using this brush set, and I like this brush set a lot because it comes with lots of different head sizes. It's a smaller set in that it comes with 9 brushes, and it comes with lots of different heads of 9 brushes, which I really love and appreciate because they can use it for lots of things. But the heads of the brushes are small. So just in comparison, like I've got my Transom brushes, like look at the difference. Like this is like right next to each other, they're much bigger. I don't see myself using this brush that much because I work pretty small, but even like Christy the Painter brushes, my Paint Crush brushes, they're all just bigger. So, but this is really perfect. This set is great for these types of paintings for sure. Right, and I think theirs is too. Like it's meant to be a set for someone. Oops. And accessible, right? Like you just want to have all the things in the set, all the things. So you don't have to go out and purchase anything else, just like Josie. She has nothing, she needs help, and here you go. Everything's here. Hi, Bindi. Thank you for the rose, friend. Bindi, do me a favor. Are you in my fan club? Bindi's like my bestie, and I don't know if she's in my fan club. And I haven't checked. So now I feel like a horrible person because I didn't check that. So I want to learn too to help him and spend time together. That's awesome, Josie. This would be great. How old is your son? Let's see. Okay, Bindi, here's what you need to do because you're like my best art friend from like the last 5 years. We've been together forever. Go into the top left-hand corner of my screen. You're gonna see an orange heart. I'm like shaking this like there's something wrong with me. Oh, here comes the kitten. There's a little orange heart up there. Click it and join my fan club. And when you do that, you do a couple of things for me and a couple of things for you. You give the algorithm note that I have a very wonderful personality and do really lovely art things. But it also gives you credit in the algorithm towards your content. So if you join my fan page, what did you just say? It's a trap. How dare you, CJ? No, but if you go up and you click the heart, that orange red heart, and then you join my fan club, and then you click me on like a heart me, I and you both get points. We get participation points that push your stuff into the FYP. And if you're a content creator, that's what you want. You want your stuff being pushed out into the FYP. It's that like gamification that TikTok has done to kind of like get everyone to participate, but it's really great for content creators. So here I am yapping this whole time. Bindi! See, now you're part of my fan club. And you can go back into that heart, make sure you claim all your points. And since you've commented, you'll get more points for that too. You're not going to get any more points for more than one comment, but you can also get notifications of when I go live. And you can also I guess you can also claim points just for commenting and participating. But every day that you do that, it starts over. And you can claim more and more points and get higher and higher up on the fan levels of your favorite live creators. And I think it's just a way to motivate live creators to participate with each other. So Bindi, make sure after you clicked the heart me, go back up into that heart and claim your points. You should also get points for commenting as well. So just go back up there and claim all of that, okay? Morning, Heidi. Let's see. 5, 4, 3 years old. I have all special needs. Oh, honey, you're a love. That's okay. All right. So my suggestion is get the cheapest art supplies you can for them. they're not going to be creating anything amazing yet anyways, and neither are you. So don't go out and spend lots of money. I feel like if you get this set, it's going to be for you. Your kids are young. They're probably not going to paint in the lines on this one. What I would recommend for you and your kids in that time is just playing with the colors in the water together. So there's some really great artists. I mean, I've done it too, but there's some really great artists that do like color blobs, and they'll just put a color blob on a piece of like watercolor paper, and then they'll just let it play. They'll put 2 or 3 colors in, let it play, let it dry, and then draw faces over it. Your kids would love that. Let's see. Does that, I mean, I hope that answers some of your question. Yeah, and Bindi teaches special ed, and CJ is a former OT teacher. I teach 6th grade math, but I have inclusion special ed kids. So I'm very familiar with kids in the classroom that, while not, physical needs as much, of course, sometimes we'll have kids who are blind, and sometimes we'll have kids who have trouble hearing, or they're partially deaf, or they're in a wheelchair for whatever reason. But I would argue that any adult would enjoy that. Any adult would enjoy sitting down. I want to go back and do that, actually. They would enjoy sitting down and going back and just putting little puddles on their paper, adding in a few colors. Maybe this is a different, well, I might be putting in a different palette on this one. Oh, well, that's okay. I think this one might be for the gardening one. Let me see. No, I definitely used this one. Maybe this one was for the gardening one. Oh, well, I'm mixing it up. I should actually write that down right now so I don't forget. So this is for the garden. Something you need to know about me: I'm not the most organized person when it comes to my art. I try to be organized in my house, and I am usually more than anyone else, but I'm just going to put butter on here. You all know what that means. This one is also the butter one. And then these 3. I know this one's the garden one. Let me put this here. Like, I'm forced to be organized in my job, like my real job, but in my art space, I'm just not. I'll just put garden on this one. I'm not sure. And then this one will also be garden, though again, not sure. And then this last one over here, we're going to just say that this one is the butterfly one. Butter. Nope, not butter. Garden. Thanks for being patient with me while I do that. Well, nope. So those 2 go with that one. So this is maybe the switch. One of these is not the garden one. I'm going to go with this one. This one's not the garden one. So let's go back over. I'm going to grab that paintbrush again. I'm going to paint over that white in whatever color this is. Maybe purple, maybe black. Let's see. And then you're going to watch it bleed, because black is pretty strong. It's a very strong pigment, so you'll get to see that. It'll be mixed with the white, so it might be a little bit more gray. I'm not showing you this, guys. I'm so sorry. Not paying attention. Zoom this out a little bit. Will it let me? There we go. Okay. Go back and make sure I get everything. I buy the number 194 a set at Walmart for the boys. Good. Yes, absolutely. You buy one for you, and 94 a set at Walmart for the boys. Let me just check and see. I want to see what you did here for a second. Yeah, I agree. I think that's good for you. And then you get to play, and then they get to play, and you get to play together, and it feels like hangout time. Oh, Josie, that makes me so happy. And Josie, I'm going to just say, I think that the reason why you found me is because people have joined my fan club. And I think when people join my fan club, it pushes me out into the FYP maybe more than it would if people didn't. I could be wrong. I mean, I know some of it, that is definitely true for some of it. I also think that, I think because I'm on here, promoting a product from a small company on TikTok, I think it also gets pushed out for that. I think sometimes when you just come on here and paint, it doesn't push it out as much. But when people are sharing and loving on your lives, it does do that a little bit more. So these are shimmers. These 2 that I just did. This is a silver, and this is like a creamy shimmer. You can kind of see it, right? Generally, you don't want to use shimmers over just the paper. Usually you add shimmers over the top of something you've already painted that's dried. Let's see. Oh, thanks, a bad apple. Thank you, thank you. They really do treat, like you don't need expensive watercolors. You don't even need expensive brushes. There are expensive brushes. There are expensive watercolors. I was actually shopping this morning because I want to provide more product for people to see so that they have more comparison because I use a lot of Meeden. I love Meeden products, but I use a lot of it and I'm like, I'm not really giving people a point of comparison. And when people come on my lives, the most common question I get is, what supplies do you use? So I want to spend time giving you guys a point of comparison. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to try and push supplies that I don't like, but maybe I should just have more because, I love Meeden, but not every company that I love is going to be a company for everybody else. So thanks for the heart, me. I appreciate you. Yep, I do too. I do too. I actually got it from a friend of mine named Devin. She did a really super duper fast post about the Heart Me thing. And I was like, why do we not know this? Like TikTok just tells you to do the Heart Me thing and they don't tell you anything else. I think part of the problem is TikTok is doing too much. Like they've got too many campaigns all going on at the same time. They have too many ways to like incentivize your stuff. It's just too much and it's really hard for content creators who have enough to do to come in and try and figure out all of that too. Like I literally spent all morning looking through all of the live and inspire features and product features. And I was like, dear God, I'm like, I just spent hours trying to understand all of this. And I still don't entirely understand all of it. And it's frustrating because not everyone has the time, nor do they have the interest to sit and sift through all of the information that TikTok has. And they have a ton. Like, and they send me lots of surveys, and I'm like, I'll tell you what my feelings are. I think it's a great app, or I wouldn't be here. I think I get more interaction here than I ever got on the other Meta app. And I have people over there that I love and will never leave that app because it just seems like too much work to come over here. But you guys are far more like engaging, and that's good for me. Like I need to know that if I'm going to come here, I'm like I'm incentivizing that watercolor is very accessible. And it is in so many ways. I know a lot of people think that there's a high bar and that's actually really difficult to play with and work with. I disagree. I think it's an easier one. I think acrylic seems easy because you can just let it dry and go over it again and fix whatever mistakes you've made. But I don't have that kind of time. I need to be moving and grooving, and I want to walk away from my painting feeling like I finished. I don't want to come back later. I want to be done when I'm done. Like I want to walk away and be like, look, it's done. Look what I did. And this is also why I don't usually swatch because it takes so long. I'm like, God, am I done swatching yet? This is what makes me think. And I'm always been like, if I am ADHD, it's a very low level of ADHD, but I found that in my art journey, I can see ADHD qualities about myself. I can't do one topic of painting for too long. Like as much as I do mostly botanicals and wildlife, I constantly have to change it up. I can't just do like I set this goal for myself that this month I was going to do mostly veggies and fruits, and I'm like, and last week I'm like, I need to paint some flowers. It's too much. So that's also what's really good about these kits is if you're feeling in a slump with whatever you're creating, the illustration's already done for you. All you got to do is paint. And you can walk away if you want to. I know, Tree, they did call me this week. Yeah, I think watercolor's funny. I think it has a low horror. Oh my God, I said horror. It has a low floor, high ceiling effect. And what I mean by that is that anybody can enter and anybody can play. And you can have the most incredibly skilled artist create the most magical things with watercolor that the average person would have a very difficult time with. So I think seeing the like high ceiling where people are doing amazing things is very intimidating for the average painter. And if my goal is anything on this app, it's to get people to realize anybody can do this. If I could start this 5 years ago with no background, and now I feel like I'm creating beautiful things, things that I'm proud of, anybody can do that. I had zero background. I just had passion and the willingness to practice, and a husband who didn't hate me anytime I disappeared to go paint when he got home from work so he could handle the kids and not me, you know? I mean, to be fair, I had been home with them all day. I was like stay-at-home momming and working from home because it was pandemic time. And he was considered a mandated employee, so he couldn't stay home because he worked in a detox facility. And so he was like a medical professional, so he had to go into work every day. Whereas I'm a teacher in my daily job when I'm not painting, and we were all sent home and we had to learn how to teach online, which I think that also helps me here with the TikTok algorithm. My ability to talk to people over the internet is been kind of forced onto me because of the job that I had and because of the pandemic. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go back in. Where did I leave up? I did this one. I'm going to do this one. God, this is tedious. But you get to see all the colors. You get to see all the colors. All right. And then I just did that one. That one's actually much darker. I'm just going to put that in there a little bit and let that move around. But you can see, like, even looking at these colors here, like after swatching them, they're so close in tone, but they're not exactly the same, are they? Oh my God, Bindi, I don't know how you did it. I mean, I guess what you did was you just kept going, hoping, right, when you're teaching them online, that they're getting something out of it. I mean, that's what I did. And I had verbal kids who just would blank screen me. And what am I going to do? I'm going to force them to put their screens back on. Like, we weren't grading anybody for anything. We were just trying to get kids to come to school online. And if we could get them to show up, even if it was just like showing up and not showing themselves, at least they put their time in. I think that's all the school cared about, because so much of the state at the time was like, you just need to prove that you're getting kids in front of a teacher. So, though I will say, one of the most fun memories I have of teaching online during the pandemic with my students was, in our schedule, we have what's called an advisory period. And it's like a period of like 17 minutes in the day where basically you just show up, and sometimes you talk about organization, sometimes you talk about a student's day. We often do something called restorative justice circles, where they're not really restorative, but they're just conversations, right, with kids that don't have any academic expectations. And I was teamed up with the gym teacher at the time, and we would both come online at the same time for about 20 minutes. I had more kids coming to my non-mandated advisory time so they could hear me and the gym teacher banter the entire time. It was crazy. Like, they would come and they're like, I have a dad joke. Can I tell a dad joke? And I'm like, sure. And then we would groan, or we would like rate it. Like, we would just be like, that one was terrible. Come back with a better one. And they're like, wait, I've got more, because they had their computer screen in front of them. So they just gave me more. And it was honestly the most fun part of the pandemic, was that advisory time with those kids while I was teaching, just talking about nothing. Like, and let's be honest, yours is 40 minutes. Oh my God, Bindi, that's a long time. So I think that, like, when I have my kids come back and visit me nowadays, and they're in 7th grade, they're in 8th grade, they're in 12th grade, and they come back and visit me, they don't remember what I taught, they remembered how they felt. And so I do try and lean into that. Like, how do I make people feel good when they're in the room with me or online with me? Okay, am I finally done swatching? Oh my God, I hate swatching so much. Okay, Josie, if you're still here, I do want to show you the flat wash, the wet on wet, and the blending and the glazing. Let me do that really quickly. So these are basically ways to show different watercolor techniques in a really short and easy way. So a flat wash is a very watery color over the page, and that's it. You're not going to see a whole lot of pigment. The goal is to add a lot of water. I'm going to just use, let's use this green here. I don't know why I'm using this green. I'm going to use this green a lot, but whatever. I'm just going to add it on the page. And then what I do is I just add water to that and spread it out. This is called a flat wash. The amount of pigment you put in your flat wash is entirely up to you. There are some people that would go in saying that there's a certain ratio of like 1 to 3, 10 to, or 1 to 3, 1 to 10, 1 to 20. 1 to 20 would be a flat wash of one pigment to 10 or 20 pigments, or 10 or 20 like droplets of water. So if I put in one brush pigment of that tone and then added 10 more of just water, that's what the ratio is referring to. All right, so we also have that, but ours, I still can't get over that yours are 40 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. This is just a thin layer. It's just the background, it's just the base. And honestly, sometimes this looks even white when you're done with it. Okay, so wet on wet is the super fun. This is the hook. This is the ground floor for any watercolor person or for anyone who wants to try watercolor art. So this might be a little thicker. It might just be another flat wash to start. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some water over here, and then I'm going to add another color to kind of play with that color. So let's do blue. I swatched this one already. Let's do this. No, let's do this blue. We'll do that like ultramarine blue. And let's just see what happens. And you drop it in like that. And you let it play. This is called the wet on wet technique. And you don't have to repaint over everything. You just got to figure out like, how does water, pigment, and other colors of pigment move together? What does it look like? Okay. Yeah, so you mean as far as like watercolor ratios? Yeah, so like I teach 6th grade math, so I talk about ratios for a good chunk of the year. And basically it's just this idea for every 1 drop of color, how many drops of water are you adding into your pigment? And the more drops of water you have, the less pigmented it is, the more wash color it is, okay? Like, and the more pigmented the color is, like the darker it is, the less water there is in there. There's also something called a dry brush technique where there's no water at all. You just put, like, you go in with a very dry brush and you try and pick up some paint with as little water as possible and you go over the top. Okay, so this one is blending. Mix colors on the paper by layering and using a damp brush to create smooth transitions. So this is not a smooth transition. This is me just throwing color into the wet on wet techniques. And you can do this a number of times. You can even do it into the colors you already dropped that were that same color and just let it play. I can even go back in with the green that I was using and put it in on that side and just let it play and move. Okay, so this is wet on wet. There is a lack of control on that a little bit. Yeah, I teach math. I teach 6th grade math. Nope, I've never taught art professionally a day in my life. My background, last time I took a professional like art class in a school setting was when I was in 7th grade. But I also grew up in a very like arty family, or I should say crafty. My father and mother both worked in ceramics and woodwork. So I was seeing art on a regular basis in my household, but I wasn't creating it in any way, shape, or form like I am now. All right, so blending, I'm going to use these 2 colors again. I'm going to go in on a light wash on this. I'm going to start here. We'll do this same side. I'm going to put in the green on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to put the blue, that same ultramarine, on this side. And I'm going to show you what happens. So the blending is when you add water to the center. Now, what you might want to do is kind of like wait for it to dry a little bit. I'm going to come back and let this dry, and then I'm going to kind of go over this and kind of connect them, because the more puddly it is, the more it's going to look like this again. And I don't really want that. I've never taught art. But I didn't have a good background in math either, Tree. Like my education was elementary education in history and social studies were my focus, or yeah, social studies was my focus in college. But when you're in a middle school setting, you teach 6th grade and you're in a middle school setting, you have to teach one of the 5 subjects that's available to you: English, science, social studies, math, writing, and they needed a math teacher. So I was the math teacher and I had to teach myself a lot. I do think there's benefit to that in a lot of ways as in my teaching style, and that I had to teach myself first. I didn't just know. And I have to do that with art too. So glazing, overlay transparent washes of color on dry layers to intensify or modify color tones. So what I'm going to do here is, this is going to need some drying, but I'm going to do probably just some circles. And what we'll do is we'll do blue. We'll do that ultramarine. And we'll just do some blue polka dots. We'll do another one over here in this corner. They can be as light or as dark as you need in the moment. Let's do another one here, maybe a smaller one, and then maybe a smaller one up here, another one smaller there. Okay, and then I'm gonna let that dry, okay? And then I will do what's called a glaze. It'll be a wash like this over the top of this. The pigment, if it's dry, won't move unless you like really rub it in. You might see a little bit of a color movement, but it should basically stay in that spot. So this has been drying pretty quick. So what I'm gonna do with this here, I'm gonna clean my brush. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna stretch out really lightly that green yellow color. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the blue. I'm just gonna make sure I start with a clean brush. I'm gonna move it together. Now, how far over you layer it is up to you. So if I go over it like this, it's got that soft blend, right? I mean, if I put more pigment in there, you might see more of a green color blend like you're seeing up here. But because I went in with a clean brush both times, that just ends up being more of a soft blend. Does that make sense to everybody? What I just did there? All right, I'm gonna blow dry this with my heat gun. And then we're gonna get started on actually, well, I'm gonna finish glazing this, and then we're gonna get started on actually painting something, because that's what I originally planned to be here for. But this is a good lesson in all of these things, because you can use all of these techniques. Like, see that puddle right there? Just understand if it moves around, which I'm doing that right now, you can kind of see it moving around. It can impact the wet on wet technique. Like, you get less control when you've got more water on the page. It can also create what's called a bloom effect, and I'll show you that in a minute because I'm quick drying this and I'm not making any effort to blend it. Thanks, Emily. Love the heart me. Love it, love it. And thanks for all the follows, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm so close to 10,000. I'm so excited. Oh, tiny dino time. I love tiny dinos. They're so cute. I actually crocheted a tiny dino once for a student. We do raffles at my school, or at least with the 6th grade. So I'm taking that bloom and I'm just watering the edges a little bit to get rid of that sharp line. Now, sometimes the bloom is cool and sometimes it's not. So all I did was add a little bit of water, and then I go back in and try and pick some of that up so it's not a puddle again when I dry it. Unless, of course, I want to do wet on wet again and I want to pop in more color, I could do that too. See how that's dry over there and it's not moving? I'm just going to blend that out a little bit. I don't have to, though. There we go. All right. And I'm going to go back in there and dry that one more time. I love that for you, though, show and tell, or show and tail. It takes time. I do think, though, the more you participate in that fan club heart thing at the top, and if you're a content creator, it does move it along for you for sure. Okay, is this dry? Yes, it is. Benefit of a heat dryer. I could do that really quickly. So I'm going to go in with this gold green again, and all I'm going to do, this is called glazing. Make sure this is watered down though. You want a tone that's kind of like your flat wash. And you're just going to go over the top like this. The blue moved a little bit, but really you need to make sure you're only going over it like once. Like don't rub it in. That's a glazing. And you can see it is blending out a little bit, but there was a lot more pigment in that little polka dot right there than there was everywhere else. Okay, flat wash. Oh, thanks for the club. I love it. You have 100? Love it. And you know what, Angie? I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, or Angie. I would say that like I'm seeing so many followers right now who are starting multiple accounts just to see if they can pick up speed on their collection of followers, to see if they can get to 10,000 with different techniques. So don't worry about the 100, girl. You will get there for sure if you really are committed to it. And don't think that you have to post like 20 times a day. I know that there are creators out there doing that. I tried doing that for a heartbeat, and I actually found that not only was I super frustrated and not motivated to post, I also found I wasn't getting that many, what would you say? Definitely no viral. There was nothing viral in any of that. So don't feel like you have to do that either. I know that there's a lot of people pushing that out, but I think if you post at least once a day and you're starting off, I think it's good for you. I think you'll get a lot out of that. Okay, so flat wash, wet on wet, blending, and glazing on top of polka dots. Let's do some actual painting now. Okay, so we're going to do this dotted glory butterfly. We're going to start with the flat wash, just like I did here. And the glory butterfly is this one. So I'm seeing a lot. So you see the peach here and here and here. I actually see some hints of peach under the blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a flat wash, a real light one on the whole butterfly, the whole thing. And I'm going to get that to dry, and then I'm going to start to put some of that blue over the top. I'm going to keep the most concentrated parts of that flat wash, obviously in these areas where I'm going to build up that peach. But having a flat wash layer is, it's just good for everything, because then if you miss a space and you have like a little white spot, which is fine, there's still actually paint underneath that. Glazing is just a little water, right, Emily? So Emily, glazing is a more watery tone with the pigment. So like, let's say you do 1 dot of pigment in your palette and 10 dots of water, and you mesh them out together and you've got a real light watery pigment. It's not less water, it's less rubbing the paintbrush over the top of the painting. So I could go in with a heavier wash, like I could go in with a more pigmented wash, and I could paint over the top of this set of polka dots, and it still wouldn't move this around that much as long as I'm not rubbing it in, okay? And as long as everything underneath it is dry, okay? Does that answer your question? Okay, so let's go in with that peachy color. So I'm looking at my tones here. It looks to me like, because these are shimmers right here, and I would do shimmers last, I'm going to go in with this orange tone, and again, maybe a little bit of yellow. I see some yellow undertones here. Let's do a yellow peach undertone. So we're going to use this one, and why am I missing? I think this one was more red than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, because that was a peach one, or a pink one. Okay, so looks like I used this tone and this one. Let's do this one and this one together. We're going to mix those on the palette, on this little paint palette that they provide. And again, this whole thing is a kit. Oh my God, I've got all sorts of fruit flies hanging around my flowers. Hold on, I just got to move it out of my face. It's going to hang out behind me. All right. So we're going to do this one and this one, and we're going to mix it on this little palette here with some water. And I think I'm going to start with like looking at my brush sizes, because I'm just painting the whole thing. I think this actually might be a good size, and it's got a nice point on the top. So isn't that so cool, Show and Tell? I love the butterfly collection. Is this a butterfly? Yeah, it is. Because there's some mauves in this too. But I just love it because they give you so much guidance on how to do it. And for those of you who are just getting here now, in my shop, you'll see it pinned at the bottom. This whole thing is a watercolor kit. It comes with the paints. It comes with a brush. It comes with a palette. It comes with a pre-printed paper illustration, and you just have to paint over the top. Oh, and the swatch card that I just spent forever doing at the beginning. I'm not putting favorites. I'm sorry, Andy and Emma. I just can't do it. Okay, and this is a small-owned business, which I'm sure most of us all love a small owned business. So I'm going to take some of this yellow. I'm going to put it on the palette. I'm going to take some of this orange. I'm going to put it on the palette. I'm going to add a lot of water. I don't really love these little palettes though. They're fine, but they're plasticky, which, you know, cheap. They're going to try and keep their costs down. But sometimes you need to add a ton more water into the palette to get any sort of movement within the palette. I find that that happens a lot of times with certain palettes. You just have to be careful. All right, so I'm going to take this color, this tone. I'm going to add a little bit more orange to that, actually. More of that cadmium orange. I might even darken it up a little bit more because I really want there to be a light tone of this color on the bottom. Okay, so let's just go over this whole thing. We're just going to go over the whole thing. Now, if you're like, you just went in really dark in the areas that are going to be blue, that's okay. Oh, and by the way, this brush set, this 9-piece brush set is in the shopping bag at the bottom. But I'm just going over this whole thing in these tones. I'm going to definitely put a lot more of it in here. This is the wet on wet technique right in this section here where I added more of that same tone there. And if you're hearing bells, it's the kitten. She's a supervisor. She has to come in here every once in a while and remind me who's boss. And this still looks pretty pigmented right now, but it will dry very much lighter than you might imagine. And then see, I've already run out of that paint, so I got to mix it again. So I think I did like 1, 2, and then I'm going to wash my brush off, add a dot of water in here. Do you see how the paint almost disappears when I do that? I got to add like a lot of water. 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then let's add some of that yellow again. 1, 2. And then some more of that orange. 1. A little bit of water. Okay. And then let's see. Now that looks a little bit more peach, but that's okay. I can just add water and I can add yellow back in. But that looks pretty close though, doesn't it? How many of those swatched squares do you think each dot would cover? What do you mean? Explain that a little bit more thoroughly. You mean these squares? These ones? I'm not even sure. They should be giving you enough paint to do all of the illustrations that they have in here. Now, obviously, I have not come to the point where I've done all of the illustrations in here, but it should be pretty, like they're not creating a kit where they run out of paint and their buyers are mad at them. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, you know, that wasn't very smart of them. And they seem like very smart people. So I imagine they're giving us enough paint to do all of the things. Just keep in mind, I'm using a lot of water right now and just spreading that pigment out. A little bit more yellow and a little bit more orange and then some water. And I'm not super precious about my ratios. I honestly don't really pay that close of attention. A lot of it is vibes and feels. Like, how does it feel? Does it feel good? Is that enough pigment? Do I want more? And that some of that just comes from muscle memory and practice. I'm also not super concerned about how this dries underneath because I know I'm going to paint over it with the blue tones from this butterfly. Okay. Like, I'm definitely going to want this center to be even more peach than that already is. But it's still just the first layer. Like, remember, this is like the wash layer. And then you do a little bit of a wet on wet technique just to kind of play and see where it's going. And then once you start to feel like you're building things up the way that you want them to be, when you're doing your wet on wet, you want to make sure that you're building up that wet on wet in areas that have more of the tone of your flat base layer. So I'm going to definitely lean into these areas here and create more pigment in those spots. And this open space here, I'm not super concerned about because I am going to be painting over it a little bit. Maybe I need to go up a little higher though. I'm going to be painting over this section up here in that blue color, in that blue tone. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. What kind of dryer do you use to quickly dry the paper? This is a Chandler heat tool. It's called a heat gun. I've had this for years. I would say I'm going on 5 years on this buddy, and it still has not given me a problem. I don't think everybody needs one though. So I'm saying this knowing it's in my shop. If you don't think that you're going to use it with great frequency, don't get one. I have friends who don't use them who are very successful artists. It's very convenient though. It's convenient, especially for me, because I'm an online creator and I want to do one piece in a sitting. I don't want to walk away and feel like it's not done. So I like having it, especially when I'm with you guys. And then I don't have to wait. And watercolor is really friendly like that. It's like, yeah, sure, you can dry me. It won't ruin anything. So this is pretty much my base layer here. I'm definitely going to use that heat gun in just a second. I want a little bit more of this peach color though. And I'm going to put that back in here. Again, I'm not worried about where it's bleeding out. And just coming back to my reference, we've got that here and here. So it's going to go underneath this section over here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm just mapping out with my brush those areas so that when I go in and paint over the top, which I will, I know that I don't want to paint over those tops because those are going to be tops that are going to be more colored in. And down here, it's much more blue. So outside of right next to the little guy's body, I'm not going to really do much more layering of that peach on there. I'm going to do it right around this section here. So I'm just going to add some more cadmium. And because it's still wet, I'm just going to throw it down. I'm not even going to bother watering it in my palette. I'll water it on the page. I'm going to do it up here too. It definitely feels more wet up here because I've been adding more pigment up here. It's funny, as an artist who does this pretty regularly, I get very intimidated by painting over my own drawings. And I think it's because I'm always worried I'm going to ruin them. Because I'll feel really good about a drawing that I did. I'll be like, that drawing was fantastic. And then I paint it and I'm like, what did I do? It doesn't look like it did. I don't like it anymore. But this feels less pressury. Like, this isn't my drawing. This isn't, if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. You know, I appreciate that about these kids. It doesn't feel as precious playing with this particular, these drawings. No offense to the owners. I'm sure they spent a lot of time and energy creating these illustrations to put on this paper. But for me, I don't worry so much about ruining it as I do with my own drawings because I didn't spend hours illustrating it beforehand. I have done realistic pet portraits. They stress me out though. And I'm sure you can imagine why. Pick and Paint Studio, if I'm doing a pet portrait, they're very special to the person I'm doing it for. And they take a lot of time and energy because I'm going to sketch it first. And that makes it precious. And it is stressful because you don't want to give it to the person who spent all of their hard-earned money to make some sort of wonderful art piece in their house to like not be happy with the final result. And I could like sketch it and then show someone the sketch and they could be perfectly happy with the sketch. But then there goes that whole thing I was just saying. I don't want to, ruin it. And I do sometimes worry about ruining sketches. That being said, I've made some really incredible things, but here, I'll show you. I have, and I'm not saying this to be braggy, but all of the art on this wall, most of it anyways, come from watercolor art classes that I've taken, but I'm so dang proud of them because I never thought I could create those on my own. Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind, Beachy Beach. But like these illustrations, like this tree frog with the branches on it, that was a class. But I'm so proud of it because I drew it and then I painted it and I didn't hate the painting afterwards. These greenhouses that I did, they're from a class offered by Danielle Donaldson. She provides you all of the sketches, but then I sketched it myself using her guides. And then I watercolored it myself, doing my own kind of style. And I'm so dang proud of it, even though it's not I didn't create this object. It was from a class, but I love the fact that I have art up here that I'm so proud of that is just from a class. The only thing I won't do with these is I'm not going to sell them. Like this is someone else's creativity in their sketching, so detailed that if I made something similar to this in my own mind, then I would. But these ones in particular, I would never sell these. Like this was a class with a watercolor artist who I adore. Her name is Penny Stamper. And she does this beautiful work in watercolors and portraits and all that stuff. This is mine. I illustrated this one all by myself. Super proud of that one because it's based on like this style of illustrating, but I made pansies based on that style and what I felt most comfortable with. Sorry about the glare. And then I love this guy. This is my little seahorse. My little seahorse. I love him so much. He's like a circus seahorse. Inspired by the artist, but I did my own designs and the clown vibe was mine. So it's just so fun. Yeah. Yeah. This house is amazing. I'm so proud of it. And then there's like the tree house. That one was really hard for me. I had such a struggle with that one, which surprised me. I didn't expect that. This one's also really good. I love this. I love all the detail inside. Look at the dandelion one. I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm not doing it to brag. I'm doing it because I'm proud. I'm proud of what I've been able to do in such a short period of time. And I just think it's accessible to you more than a lot of you may think. So that's why I show it. Not to be like, ooh, look at me. It's look what you could do. You could make something that you're proud of if you really commit to spending the time, you know? This is still a little bit wet, so that's why I'm still going in and you can still see it bleeding a little bit. So I just want to explain that. I know, so the treehouse was done in mostly gouache, which is I think why I had such a hard time. I don't use gouache very much. And it felt very acrylic-y to me. And again, I don't use acrylic that much, but the colors ended up turning out really well. So I was pretty happy with it. All right. Hi, Janster. I'm just going to blend this out a little bit so it's not so spread out. All right. I really do just need to let this go and dry it so I can start building up some of the other things. By the way, when I am done here, I will be uploading it to my YouTube because I know some people can't stay or some people came in late. And I don't want you to miss out on this time if you feel like it's valuable to you, especially if you get the set yourself and you want to paint it along with me, you can. Okay, so I think that's just a really beneficial platform to load up long lives that TikTok doesn't have the space for. So I would leave it here for you, TikTok, but you just don't have the space for it. And I appreciate and understand why, but I just wanted you to know that I will definitely be putting this tutorial up on YouTube. Okay, yeah, no problem at all. The brush I'm using is from this brush set. It's really wonderful for new artists, but I use it pretty regularly in my art because I like the different head sizes and shapes. So there's 3 round brushes. There's this one, and this one. Here, I'll pin it for you, and then I'll put the other stuff back up. It's a really affordable art brush set. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. It's number 1 in my shopping bag. Did I pin it? Did it pin? No, it did not. Hold on. There you go. It's number 1 in my shopping cart, but it's got the quill brush. Now, the quill brush are those big fluffy brushes that hold lots of water, and this is really good for like those base layers. So if you're going to glaze or if you're going to do a base, like watery base layer, these are really good for that. And the really loose, like, whoa, look at that water move kind of stuff. But the rest of these are detail brushes. So like you've got the 3 sizes. Here, let me move this over so you can see them next to each other. We've got the 8, the 4, and I think this is the 1. Yep, these are the 3 round brushes right here. 1, 2, 3. And then it comes with like this is an angle brush. What did they call it? Yeah, they call it an angle brush, an angular brush. It looks like a flat top brush that just had a trim, like a fade or whatever you want to call it, as the children say. And then you've got like these 2 brushes, which are daggers. Daggers are my favorites. I love daggers so much. They're still, I would say, student grade brushes, but if you're a student, then that's perfect. Is this? Yeah, okay, this is an angular brush, or a dagger brush. So you can see I love them. Like the print's already kind of coming off them because I use them so much. And then this brush right here is a size 4 cat's tongue. It's not the sharpest pointed cat tongue brush in the world. I've seen some sharper ones, but I like it anyways. It feels like almost like a pointed filbert brush a little bit. It's really fun. I really like it. But this is great for a starting brush set when you're trying to take all the tutorials and then they whip out a brush and you're like, I don't have that one. Well, I think for the most part, this is going to cover all the brushes you need for small tutorials. And even if you're doing landscapes, this is a good brush for that. It just has a lot of different brush heads to do details with. You may have, I don't know what you ordered, Janster. It doesn't tell me who ordered what, unfortunately. So I can't go back and look for you. So this is drying, but you can still see it's a little bit wet. Also, I have a little smudge over here. I'm going to try and clean that. Hold on a second. So again, low floor, high ceiling. I'm getting this. Oh, no, I need to use the clean one. All right. So these are magic eraser sponges that we use to like clean our walls after our kids draw on them. Basically, I just get it a little bit wet. You guys can see that little smudge, right? I get it a little bit wet. I dab down on wherever the pigment is, like that. And then I take the dry side of that magic eraser and rub it out. It doesn't work every time. It will work on this. I know it will. I've done it before. Sometimes, depending on the tool that it is, it may not come out fully. But on something like this, it absolutely will. And you can see it's barely even there now, which is a really handy tool for those of us who are sloppy painters and don't always hit it right in the, we don't always get the home run on the first try. Okay, so coming back to my reference, this one. Okay, so he's got these little brown eyes. He's got this gray body. He's got some gray antenna popping up. Definitely these blues here. Let's start throwing some blues down. I do want to dry this up a little bit, but let's definitely put some blues down after I dry it up, and then we'll build up these oranges again. So again, we're not being super precious when we're putting the paint down. We want there to be some, what do we call them? Lighter and darker values on the page when we're doing your first layer. These are the lighter values. These are the darker values. You can see I left some of this open to kind of just play with those values a little bit later on. I left the body, it's a little bit yellow-orange, but I left it mostly alone. The paper will buckle using a heat gun, but you can easily help that later. It's not super thin paper, or it is thinner paper, so it will buckle a little bit. I already put my hand in my paint and smeared it. Yeah, it happens. It can be real frustrating though. I agree with you. Let's see. That feels pretty dry. It will curl, but almost all watercolor paper will curl. You're putting water on it. It's going to deform it a little bit, but that's okay. What you're going to do in that case, if it doesn't go back to flat on its own, and oftentimes it does, like this one didn't, it's still a little bit of a curl to it. What I would do is in my free time, I would spray the back with water, just spray it down, flatten it out like underneath like this. Don't do the front. Don't spray the front with water. Don't do that. That would wreck the paint. But on the back, just do a little water bottle spray and then put a book on top of it. And when you pick it up, it should be flattened right back out. At least that's what I do. I haven't done it with those yet, but that's what it should already work just fine. All right, let's go back into this with some blues. So now I have to decide. All that time swatching is coming to a benefit. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and this is this blue. This is looking pretty yellowy. I definitely build up more pinks in here, I think. But anyhoodle, let's do blues. I think we're going to lean into these two. Maybe a little bit of this one as well, like some sea green blues and then some sky blues. And then obviously there's a little bit of a buildup of a darker blue there. We can either do that by layering a couple of this on top of each other, or we can just add some of these like more ultramarine blues in there as well if we want. Ultimately, it's our painting. We do what we want. All right, so let's grab this guy. This is the one we're going to be working with right now. I'm going to start actually by putting more water in this palette. You see how that, like, when I add the water, it kind of like bubbles up. It almost seems to disappear. That's really annoying. I don't really love that, but I don't think there's anything I can really do about that unless I'm using a separate palette that's ceramic. So, all right, let's grab some of this. This is so annoying. I can't. I'm sorry. I need to use something else. I'm just going to grab, I think, the top of another paint palette. All right. I'm just going to grab this little butterfly since we're using butterflies anyways. I'm going to clean it out. I already have one of these that's already a little bit wet, so I'm just going to use that. I'm just going to clean it out for the blues. Ceramic just works better for these paints. It holds the water more. Plastic, if it's porous, can suck the water in. Why is there everywhere? And so I'm just going to clean out this little ceramic bubble. It's perfect since we're doing butterflies anyways. But I'm just going to show you the difference. So if I grab some of this paint and I put it in here, you can see it's not disappearing, right? Add some water. It's starting to really spread out. I have some play, okay? And you can buy any of these palettes anywhere you want. Like I think Meeden has a really good one. And they're cheap. They're not expensive. Like this, I think might have cost like $15 because it was a handmade paint artist who did it. But Meeden has like some for like well, maybe not $5, but definitely like $10 or less than $10. I think I saw one for $8.95 today. All right. This little palette piece comes with the set. This does not. This was crafted by a pottery / paint maker who made this. This is them making this accessible to anyone, but I would argue, see, messy painter. It's not for someone like me who's been working with this for a while. That's frustrating to me, and I just wouldn't use that. But that's okay. I'm not buying the kit for that. That's for sure. I'm buying it for the paintings. And look at me, I'm splattering again. All right, I'm going to just go in here. This should all be dry. And I'm going to, it's going to feel like a glaze a little bit. But I'm just going to add some blue over the top. And this is mixing too, okay? Mixing on the page is also mixing. I'm going to add some darker pigments to that though. Definitely want this to be a little bit darker. There we go. So it doesn't feel like I'm trying to mix. I do want to get this color down a little bit. And because the spots on this butterfly are black, I'm not worried about painting over them too much. As long as I can see them underneath, it should be fine. This goes all the way underneath here, it seems. But you can see those tones look really pretty together, don't they? Oh my God, CJ. Look, I already told you I forgive you. It's okay. I'm a little bougie, but I'm not mean most of the time. This whole area is blue, so I'm just going to go right in. It's this part here that's not, so I'm just going to try and leave that a little bit more untouched. What I will do here, though, is I will keep this a little more watered down the closer I get as I'm layering, just because you can see there's a little bit of tone there. Like you can see some of that tone in there kind of connecting to the, yeah, so I'll leave some of that alone. And then I'm going to come back in here and do the same thing I did over there. Okay. Looks pretty good. That needs more blue though. Let's get some more blue on this palette. And more water. I was in a live where I asked a guy where he got his watercolor pots, and he was so mean and kicked me. What? What do you mean? He asked where you got where he got his watercolor from? A guy who was watercoloring and he got mad at you? Oh my goodness, that's just ridiculous. That is craziness. What else is he there for? Are you sure it wasn't like a miscommunication? You just didn't understand, or you misheard or misread? And that's crazy. I have screen recorded it. I was in disbelief. That is crazy. Man, that's crazy. That is not the way to be a content creator, that's for sure. All right, I'm going to add some of it up here, some of this blue up here. I am going to do some wet on this blue as well, because the tones in this picture are a bit more cooler. That doesn't sound right. They're a bit cooler. I didn't need to say more. Just going to go ahead and move this around. I'm going to add probably some more ultramarines in this top section. I'm following the line underneath. That's okay. Pull that down there like that. This is looking so good, isn't it? I love how like transparent some of these layers are. I agree, Janster. I have never been on a live stream where I was like, God, that artist is a jerk. Thanks, Kurt. I'm heavy-handed too sometimes. Sometimes I overwork things. I think sometimes I overwork things. I'm getting better at just watercolor and not overworking it as much as I used to, because I certainly heavy-handed worked that for quite some time. I still definitely overdo it with the mixed media sometimes, and I just can't help it. I get so excited. So I just have to not let it bother me so much. I think the artist community online is probably some of the friendliest people I've ever met in any of the socials. I mean, we're not here to like be annoying and pick on people and like be entertained at someone else's expense. We're here to bring joy to people. So I just think that for the most part, people that come on these lives found that out pretty quickly. I actually kicked someone out yesterday. Well, I muted them. I didn't kick them out. I didn't block them or anything. But there was this guy who came on my live yesterday named Sloppy Mike, who kept asking me like weird questions about the snail. And I'm like, oh, dude, it was so nice to have you, but now I'm going to mute you. I just couldn't. I'm like, not here for you. And you're not here for me. So you need to go. Let's see. Thanks, CJ. Just pack it bougie. You know, you could shake it with some rocks. It's just the minerals. You're making more watercolor for me. That's all. You're sending minerals for me to make my own watercolor. All right. Let's get a little bit more blue in the tips here. Yeah, just like that. Today's Saturday, right? I don't even know. I had to go to a graduation party yesterday. And because I've been home from work, because we don't start up for a couple more weeks, and my kids had an overnight at their my husband's cousin's house, who they love and adore, and they had like a night swim and a morning swim, and it was all great fun. But they're not here, and so it's throwing me off. Like I'm like, when are they coming home? It's so quiet. I'm not complaining. But it's throwing me off. I'm like, is it Sunday or is it Saturday? Because Sundays around here are usually a little bit more quiet. Yes, it's Saturday. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead like this. Like this. Okay. So that feels pretty good. I'm going to put this in here a little bit more. I do want to like bring that outline here so that more of that peach is showing up inside the wing and not at the edge of that corner. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and do, I don't really have gray, but I do have black. So I think I'm going to go into the center and do some of that little body. It's a little bit more brown than I wanted. Yeah, let's do this color and let's see how this goes. Okay, so the center of the body is mostly white. I just put way too much pigment down. Oops. And this is definitely looking purple. Oops. It's okay. I'll work with it. The nice thing about colors with watercolor is that you can mix on the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to that purple. Hopefully I can make some magic happen. So when you put yellow and purple together, they're opposites on the color wheel. And they make brown and black or brown and gray in their own little way if you mix them together. think that, I mean, it's still got some purple tone to it. The bottom is supposed to be a little darker anyway, and the top's going to be brown eyes, so that's okay. Thanks, Coffee and Paint. How are you? Are you planning your live that you're going to have soon? I hope so. I'll be there. I'll try to be. Okay. The purple looks kind of cool anyways. All right. If you're doing voiceovers, Coffee and Paint, you can definitely do lives. You won't have any problem with that. The other thing you can do, I had a friend of mine who did silent paints, kind of like, what do they have, those disco parties where everyone just puts on headphones and listens to the music that they want and dances around and no one really knows what they're listening to, but they're all having a great time together. Thanks, Rhonda. I've seen people where they just turn off all sound and people just come and watch people create and paint and they don't have to really do anything. I mean, you could potentially sell that as your content. Other people do it. Why not you, right? Okay, I'm coming back to this. Not exactly the same, but we're going to try and build up a little bit more so we can make it a little bit more similar. I do want to get some cool tones in there for sure, though. And right now I've been using mostly warm. So looking at this palette, I'm going to go with this blue. This is more of an ultramarine. I'm going to mix it in my palette here. And it's just going to cool up the layers that I already have done. And this is still wet. And if it's not, like right here, you see where that line is? That can be a vibe. Like that can actually be kind of cool to see the faded lines kind of going in. But since over here it's kind of blending, I'm probably just going to blend it out a little bit. Let me add some water. And then I'm going to put more of that blue right back in there, I think. And then just let it do its blending thing. Aren't these kits so fun? I can't believe you guys have stuck around this whole time. It's so nice. It's so nice to have such lovely company. All right, I'm going to just add some water from up here and then spread it around. And this still has some of that peach. I'm going to put some of that blue in there too, though, I think. Just to make sure it's all a little matchier. And they do have other kits. Obviously, I am not getting to the garden kit today. This one's taken up enough time. But they have flower kits. They have, actually, I'm just going to look because I'm not even sure off the top of my head. And I realize I don't even have it pinned right now. Let me pin it. Butterfly. Okay. So they have, let me read it. Floral. They have garden. They have landscapes. They have birds. They have flowers. They have fruits. I'm working on the butterfly one. They also have, a couple of different flower ones. Yeah, they have a couple of different flower ones. And they have little paint palettes like this that you can just buy separately, these shimmer ones, which is pretty cool. All right, let's build up. She is what? Oh, I'm so glad this is helpful to you, Wanderlust. So they're all the different kits. Again, they are a local, or not a local, they are a small business run by, I believe it's Andy and Emma. And the paint cards that you get with it are made, some of them are made in-house by Emma and Andy, but some of them are also made by a local women-owned business that also does some paint. So the paints that they don't do, the other small business that they're working with is helping them make the paints, which you just can't go wrong with that. You just can't. Let's get some more of this blue in here while it's still wet. I need to make sure I don't forget to do it at the top too, because the top blue part definitely has some of this cooler blue thing happening. Though I am very fond of this right now. It looks really good. All right. So this part up here tends to be lighter on the tip, but I want to make sure I'm vibing with what I did here. So I think I'm going to do this blue again over here up on the top, even though the tip seems to be lighter, and then go in with a much darker blue as we get closer to the orange wing. It is such a pretty blue, isn't it? I feel like blue. So remember how with the body I did yellow and purple because I felt like I went in too hard on the purple. The funny part is that blues and orange are actually opposites on the color wheel as well. So if I mixed them together, that would also create a brown blue tone. Just adding a little bit of that in there. Okay. All right, let's go back to that blue. I need more of it. More blue, more blue. Come back to me, blue. So I'm using this one on the card because it's still wet. I'm just dropping it in. I'm using that wet on wet technique. And then I'm going to come over here and add a little bit more there. And then it's going to be mostly in here, but I do want to get it around the outside too. See how I'm going in with this stripe and you're like, oh dear God, woman, what are you doing? I'm just going to go ahead from here and pull some water out from that stripe I just made. Like this. And then leave that a little empty. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then just add some water to it. Just be careful. I added quite a bit here, so it is puddling a little bit, and it could create water blooms later on, which is like when you see a harsh line, it dries as a harsh line. So that can certainly happen. So just be careful of that. I mean, I know how to fix them, but maybe the people who don't do this as much or aren't as experienced don't. You just need to go in when it's dry and blend it a little bit again. Definitely try and even this out a little bit more. I've got all these wet on wet tones near the butterfly base, and I'm not matching it on both sides. This is why I like having the illustration done for me. So at this point, most of you are like, oh, did you do this butterfly all by yourself? No, I did not. There's a sketch. So this is another sketch, and I'm painting over the sketch with the watercolor dot hearts they provided. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to go in. Did I just drip again? Dear God. No dripping. I dripped again. Stop dripping. All right. Let's go in here. I'm going to add another dark blue. This seems to kind of curl up from over here. Oh no, that's not really a dark blue. I'm going to put this up here so you guys can see it. So again, I'm doing this one. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it's in the spirit of the butterfly that they made, or that nature made, or God made, or however you prefer to think about it. All right. And then I'm just going to spread this out a little bit more. This is much darker than what they did. They did a much lighter version. I could go in and lift some of this up a little bit if I really wanted to. I just don't care that much. I think I'm just going to leave it. Because the colors do look nice together. Yeah, in Show and Tell, I think that's why I like this set so much. Because I'm really, I am more of a loose wet on wet style painter. And it's important for me to feel like there's symmetry. And I can't do that in my loose style as easily. All right, I'm going to go in and dry this down a little bit before I go in with the orange. Just because if I don't and I touch it and it bleeds, I'm going to be really annoyed. And if you need anything, the owners of this company are just lovely. They actually sent little watercolor tattoo, like, what do you call them? Like the ones where you put them on your arm and you wet it down and it lays over. They sent me some to give my kids. Isn't that so nice? It's so nice. All right, so now it's drying. I'm looking here, and what you should see is should see that this side looks a little bit darker over here than maybe this side. I'm going to add just a little bit more, but not much, just because it doesn't have to be entirely symmetrical. There is such thing as like the properties of light not showing colors exactly the same. And then you can see even in here, I'm going to dry that one more time though. That kind of blended in somehow, but that's okay. Okay. So let's go into these guys while this is still drying a little bit. And it looks to me, there's no markings inside here, but there is a bit of a pink hue right along the edge here and into around the body. So I'm definitely going to try and add some lighter pinks to that. And then we'll start working on the details and these marks around the wings. And it looks to me like out here is blue marks and in here is like a dark black. So we'll do that as well. Okay, so this is pink here. I'm gonna put it in here. Just gonna add some water, mix that buddy up. Because I do not want to go in heavy with this color. I want to go in wet and wet and wet and wet so I can control it a little bit. So let's just kind of see. If I put this down, how heavy is it? Right now it's pretty heavy. So what I just did was I added more water to my brush and then squeezed out some of it so that it didn't take over when I started painting. And then I'm just blending it with the water that's left on my brush. I'm not picking up any more pigment right now. I want the hint of that pink color, and then I'll probably add some more orange out here or peach to give that impression. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I appreciate you, Emma. I'm just going to add that color in there again. And I'm just going to move it around. It's pretty heavy. I went in there with a lot of water. And thanks for the fan clubbing and the heart knees. I know I sound like a broken record, but if you're a content creator, you get a lot out of that for yourself. And it helps me too. It's showing TikTok you're engaging, and that's super important to them. And by them, I mean AI bot that does all of these things and figures it all out. I'm going to put some more of this tone here as well, and here as well, and dry brush it a little bit like that. Thanks for the heart me, Emma. All right, so let's go into this area, and let's go in with some, I still want to kind of lean into the oranginess of it because of our reference. And again, there's not too many marks. They've got, I'm going to blend this out a little bit more, this pink color. Up here. I did it over here. I just want to do it there. I'm going to add a little bit more there again. And once again, I will be posting this on my TikTok when I'm done. Just make sure to come back here. If you choose to buy this set, come back here and buy it from me. Because I'm awesome. Kidding. You can do what you want. You don't have to buy it from me if you don't want to. All right. Let's go back in. This is, let's see, this color here. I'm really glad I got this palette out. It's actually perfect. The little butterfly. Put my paint in And then we're just going to come out and build up just a little bit around the outside. A watery mix again. Lots of layers in watercolor, but lots of like, I find that in watercolor there can be ugly layers. Like, so don't get nervous if you're like, it's looking terrible. Well, that's okay. That's okay. And if you can't fix it with your watercolor, I'll show you how I fix it with mixed media when I'm done. I think that color is pretty good. My flower or my petals, the wings are a lot darker than maybe they should be based on the illustration, but that's okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to lean into that center body. It looks pretty blue right now. It's gray blue though. So let me see. I'm going real watery on this one. And then don't let me forget to add shimmer, because I think the shimmer could be a vibe with this guy. Especially since Emma and Andy have given me the shimmer paints to use for this. So, and then it looks like his tail is a little bit darker, maybe more brown, and the eyes are more brown. So let me get my heat gun out one more time. Hopefully the last time. But if you have questions, now's the time, because I'm not painting anything. I'm not super distracted. And guys, you're so close to getting me to 20,000 hearts at the top. What? You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. I think my dog is barking right now because she thinks I'm talking to somebody that's in the house. Oh my gosh, the kitty supervisor is here while I'm drying. There's the supervisor. I'm feeling judged right now. She's like, excuse me, I don't like that heat gun. She's like, you should be painting something else in tandem. That heat gun is disrupting my sleep. Yeah, it's called a heat dryer. My Cherry Baby 63. They're primarily for art purposes. They've got this real like small like head on it. And so, and if you look at it, I don't know if it's still, but you can see kind of like the inside of the head. It's basically got this metal inside part and a plastic outside part. And it really focuses the heat in one direction on the page and will dry it faster than, let's say, a blow dryer would. All right, let's do some brown. Actually, I'm going to switch over my brush because I'm in the details now. I don't really need this bigger brush. So I'm going to go back to my set and I'm going to grab the size 1 round from Artify again. This is going to be good for the details. I need to be better about this. Sometimes I keep using the wrong size brush when I'm painting and then I regret it later. So actually I think I'm going to go in with this brown, which on my swatch card is this one here, I think. If you don't know, you can always do it on the side of your paint. See, look, swatchy swatch. There you go. This is more of my style of swatching. All right, so let's come back in here. We're gonna add in some of these little lines down here on the body and then give him some eyeballs. This should be dry. And it goes pretty much most of the way down. I can glaze over this too when I'm done if I feel like the lines are too sharp, like they stand out too much. If you want them to look softer, you can always glaze over it. I also generally like to add a shadow on the side, and then I'll also use that to kind of be my paint that I use to glaze rather than pick something up off the page. And then up here, because there's still line work in that body that's not as obvious in this painting, but it's still there. So I'm going to go in as my brush starts to lose some of its pigment. It'll be lighter. And then it looks like, let's pick up a little bit more. Not a lot though. And they've got these little like polka dot splotches in the center of the body. They're not super vivid. That. So you can kind of see that, right? And then it looks like here there's also some little extra drawn parts. So I'm just going to go in with a super light dry brush. So you know that swatch I did super fast on the page just because I was lazy? I picked up some of the paint that was still on this little swatch right here. And I'm dry brushing in this a little bit. That means that there's not a lot of water on my paintbrush, which means it's not going to have a lot of flow. But you can kind of go in there and do that a little bit, and you feel a little bit more control as you're working, like that. Let's see. Oh no, that's totally fine, Melissa. So glazing. So here's an example. I did this at the beginning. Oh, I splotched right there. So flat wash, ignore the splotch, is when you go over the entire illustration, whatever you're painting, in your first layer. That should be a generally pretty transparent layer. The goal is to have a lot of water with a little bit of paint and create the first base of any painting. I did that here, maybe a little stronger pigmented, and I did it over here with the blue as well. And then I softly blended those together with water. It could have made a green color, but because I went in with a lot less water, that's why it looks more like a blend rather than a color mixing station. This was a wet on wet technique. I threw down some yellow, kind of like this, maybe a bit more pigmented. I threw in some splotches of blue, and then they mixed together so quickly they started to turn green. That's wet on wet. Glazing is this one. Glazing is when I did the polka dots first on this one. Let me just explain that. I did the polka dots first. I dried the polka dots, and then I took this flat wash color that I'd used over here, and I went over the top of it very lightly, not rubbing it in. I literally went over like 1, 2, 3 layers across without rubbing anything, and that's a glaze. When you've done all of your detail work, so like you see all these lines in here at the bottom, I'm gonna glaze over that with just water in the littlest bit of pigment. And I already put some of that pigment in here already. And so what I'm doing is I'm just moving that shadow pigment that I put in here and going it not with a lot of water though. And it just kind of blends it out a little bit. It looks less harsh than it does when you're putting your brush strokes down. So glazing is like a last ditch. We're just finishing things up. We don't want to put too many more layers in there. Oh, I'm so glad this is helpful to you, Melissa. I really am. I just want art to be accessible to people. I want them to know that they can do it too if they're passionate enough about it and they have access to the right tools that don't intimidate them. I think that anybody can do this. I've only been doing this for 5 years, and I just feel like a whole different person since I started doing this in such a good way. And that's not to say that there aren't days where you're like, ugh. I mean, I have plenty of those days, but these days, the days where I'm like creating something and feeling good about it, far outweigh the bad days. I'm going to do those eyeballs right now. This might be my favorite part. Just going to go in here, and there's my little swatch color. Okay. Just make sure when you're doing these layers, even as you're building up your layers, you're not losing, especially if you're new to this, you're not losing this sketch underneath because you need it. You don't, like, I didn't even know those little polka dot things were in there until I realized my real thin layer wasn't completely hiding them. So you got those little eyes, those little buggy eyes. Just want to make sure they're both the same tone here. Looks like there's a little bit of tone there on the outside of that nose. I'm going to add a little bit more shadow with this real light brush. If you want the brush that I'm using, the brush I'm using does not come with the set. The brush that I'm using is my own set. It is in the shopping cart below. It's the Artify set. Just went in way too dark on that. So what I'm going to do is, because I went in way too dark, I'm going to use my little sponge. This is my magic eraser, like the Mr. Clean magic eraser. I'm just going to dab it over the top and try and pick up some of that so it's not as stark as it was before. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same brown, I think, for the antenna. I think I initially said it was more gray. I'm just going to lean into the brown. I've already got the brown kind of happening with him. And I just did the tips of antennas, and then I cleaned up my brush, added water to it, and I'm just going to pull that tone back down to his head. And then it doesn't feel like a heavy brush stroke. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Add some water to the top of my brush, and then pull down the pigment that's at the top to the head. And then look how nicely that looks. It doesn't look like a heavy brush stroke. You're using the water and the pigment at the top of the antenna and just lightly pulling it down, okay? And you should still be able to see some of these veins and spots that I'm just going to color in just a second. I'm looking at this though. It looks like the veins are done. Looks like they're done in that orange color. I know the focus on this is not great. Let me see if I can. Do you see the veins in there a little bit? Right in here? Those look pretty orangey to me. Orangey pink, or maybe even brown. I think I'm going to do those first, and then I'm going to go in and do the spots. But this looks pretty close so far. I don't think this is too far off. I do think the blues are pretty dark, but now let's see if I can zoom this back out. There we go. Okay. I think we're good. I do think this needs some more blendy. I know I told you I was not going to use the hairdryer again, but I just might. We'll see. Okay, so using this brush is going to be really important for some of these details. Okay, so I'm going to use that orangey peach color I think I mixed over here. Maybe add a little bit of red to that. And then some of that pink. And a little bit more water. I want this to not be super heavy brush strokes. I want this to go in light so it doesn't come across as like, pow. So you can see it, right? Like you can see me going in, but it's not like super dark. And because the brush is teeny, it's a size 1 round. I'm not going in and reloading my brush. I'm using what's still on here. And because this is a solid brush set, it's holding the pigment for a decent amount of time. It's not heavy. I'll go back in here. I'm going to try and keep the heaviest pigment up here near the top of that wing closest to the body. And then start pulling it out again once I feel like some of the pigment has moved off the brush. Looks like there's some coming in down here and in here. You can also change your tone if you go. Like you could always go down into these sections with blue if you wanted to. Like halfway down the orange, you picked up a little blue. Like if I did this, I wanted that to stand out a little bit more near the base of the wing. I could do that. I kind of like that. And that doesn't look too heavy. I like that. Yes, I like it. I like it. Okay. Yeah, it's good for the antenna because then you don't feel like you're going down with a super heavy brush stroke and then you put too much paint down and you're like, oh, I have to fix it. And then you put more paint down and then you really feel like you've ruined it. I say that because I've had that experience plenty of times. Okay, see, like right there, I just put down way too much paint, but it's watery. So it's not going to be too terrible because it does dry light. So I went into those sections. I'm going to build those out and I'm not going to reload my brush. I'm going to try and keep the heaviest pigment closest to the body. I almost dropped my brush. Saved the day. And then when I feel like I can't see it anymore, you go back and you dip in. And if you need to, start back up at the top. Get some of that pigment off your brush. And then go back in where you were. When you know your brush is not as heavily loaded as maybe as it was to start. I think that's pretty good. And then I'm going to add the blue on the bottom there again like I did before. Okay. So that looks pretty cool. I don't think there's no line work in the wings on the top. We just have to put in the polka dots. Let me see if line work comes all the way through to the body. It probably does, because this is still part of the wing. Oof, too heavy. And then because it's too heavy, I'm going to lift it up a little bit. It's so gentle. There we go. Like whispering is going to make it better or something. I don't know if that did anything. Meh, that's okay. All right, let's go in for those polka dots. Polka dotty time. Let's see, make sure this is dry though. Yeah, actually, let me make sure that, no, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I don't think this is super wet. I went in with these veins pretty dry. All right, and this is gonna be blue and black. So blue down here, and then these little jaggedy black parts up here. Okay, I'm ready, I'm ready. So we'll do this blue, I think. And this cracked paint is totally fine. You see how that's cracked a little bit? That's totally fine. Don't even worry about that. It's just the nature of the paint and how it dries. I don't think I need to go up higher than that. I think that's about right. Maybe here. Sorry, I want to make sure you guys aren't covered in comments and you can't see it. I'm using the same brush that I used for the veins. It's the size 1 Artify from the collection that I have posted. How far up does that go? It goes all the way up, I guess. So I need to do it over here too. Do a little bit over here too, and then I'm going to start adding in the black. And that should really take this to a whole new level once I start putting in the black dots. That is perfect. Lazy swatch. There we go. And I'm not super worried about the transparency of these dots. They're pretty dark. And I can still see the marks underneath. Because I didn't paint so heavy that I can't see the initial sketch. And that's important with something like this because that's the whole goal, right? Like you don't want to have to do the sketch. You want to be able to see what they did for you to want to buy this kit. And see how that's kind of fading a little bit? That's because I'm running out of paint. So either you can lean into that or you can just go and grab some more. But I kind of like it. I might just go in and use like the darker paint on some parts of the spots and not others. Do need more water though. And the water will make it spread and look darker. See that one? And for those of you who, again, are new here, because I know a lot of you are in and out, My name is Christine. I've been doing watercolor for about 5 years now. Everything I teach you is based on personal experience, not professional experience. I've never attended an art school. My last official art class in a professional setting was in 7th grade. I found this art during the pandemic for my own mental health, and I just never stopped. Almost looks like a leopard, doesn't it? It's kind of cool. So you can ask me questions. I will answer them based on my personal experience. But if anybody here in the chat can give a better answer, you are welcome to. I would encourage you to. It won't hurt my feelings. I work with middle schoolers during the school year. It's hard to like compete with that. I'm sorry. They can just be meaner. Not usually to me though. They're usually pretty good with me. But still, there are times where I'm like, oh, you definitely have to have some a thick skin, as it were, when you're working with that population. But if they think you care about them, they will be really excellent for you. What do you guys think? Does it look good? I think it looks okay. I mean, I'm still not done, obviously, but I'm liking the different tones in the black, that I'm not going in super heavy-handed on all of it. Like some of it's got the lighter tone and some of it's got the darker. You took up sourdough and now I'm addicted to that and started watercolor this year. I've never done sourdough, Janster. I'm just afraid it's like another baby. And if I don't take care of that baby, it'll die and I'll be frustrated. I picked up being a plant mom during the pandemic as well. So I have lots of plant babies around the house. So I do wonder if maybe that's what kind of leaned me into botanicals a little bit more than anything else, and like natural creatures and whatnot. I think I need to get into those a little bit more. Hold on. Oh, Janster, I'm so excited for you when you do. I can't wait to see them. You better post them. I want to see them. And make sure you tag me, because I don't always see all the posts. I'm so busy stuck in the TikTok algorithm trying to figure everything out all the time. I don't always see the posts that I want to see. So any help you could do that for me that way would be fabulous. Or at least put it in your stories and then like send it to me. Because I don't know why TikTok won't allow us to like send photos to each other in the DMs. That just seems silly. I likey. This little ceramic guy I got from an artist. Her name is Masha's Watercolors. She's actually a, like CJ, she makes her own paints. And along the way, I find a lot of the people who make their own paints like to make their own pottery as well. So I want to say this was like, it was on the more expensive side. This is what makes me a little more bougie. But I think she gave this to me for free with, maybe she didn't. I think I may have gotten this one. She gave me a palette for free. It might have been this one. This was like normally $25, I want to say, for this little butterfly. But it's handcrafted. She made it herself. And I am a regular when it comes to buying her watercolor paints. I love them so much. I really should do them on this app more. I just don't. I really should, though. All right, so this area, you probably can't see it that well. There's still a bit of a tone in there. I'll show you the picture. You can't see it. I can, but in this area, we're going to build up some polka dots and some spots, some longer ones right in here. But if you're looking for something like this, if you're really genuinely interested and would like to know, she's on Etsy. And you can find her stuff over there. Masha's Watercolor. Just look for the handmade paints and the ceramics. She's one of the first paint artists that I ever bought from, and I just can't stop. Like her stuff is honestly, like the granulations in her paints are not something I've seen in too many, unless you're buying like some of the fancy Daniel Smiths, like the more expensive Daniel Smiths. I love her paints so much. I think they're honestly what kept me when I was starting to get like in the doldrums of being an artist. I think her paints were the hook that brought me back some days because I was like, just want to paint with her stuff. Her stuff is fun. Not sure if I want to paint today, but her paints were fun. Maybe I just throw some paint down. And then I was back in it again. Sometimes it just is the art supply that motivates us. It's like when you're on some sort of like journey to be more healthy and you buy like the things that are going to help you be more healthy, you're more motivated to do the thing that makes you more healthy because you have the new little supplies and doodaddles that are going to encourage you and motivate you. You know what I mean? I know I always end up buying myself more like workout clothes or something, and I'm excited to wear them. Oh, thanks, CJ. And if you don't know CJ, go check him out. He hand makes all of his paints. You did, Christina. Yay, that makes me so happy. Oh, honey, I'm sorry that you weren't here, but that was for you. That was for you. And I'm so actually, honestly, like after I was done, I'm like, that was so satisfying. I'm really glad I did that. Let's hook up on more polka dots up here because there's one here. And then there's another one up here, I think. And then one here as well. Okay. So you've got that side, and let's do the other side over here. We're closing in. The supervisor is here. Pardon me, supervisor. Do I have to pull out my heat gun? It's gonna make you not gonna make you very happy. Okay. Here, I'll give you guys per time. Here. I'm gonna put her right over the mic for you. So if you're doing that new TikTok campaign with the cat, here you are. Cats versus dogs, I think it is. Are you hearing her? Oh, Christina, I'm so grateful that you wanted me to do that. So, oh, yay! You get to pick again, Christina. Yay! And you're getting purrs just for that. No, you were going to get them anyways, because, you know, that's what she's here for. She's here for the ASMR. And actually, I have two kittens right here. I have her, and I have my black one. And my black one is a little more chill. Hey, don't be so shy. It's okay. Yes. She's not going to purr for you. I'm sorry. She's going to hang out. Don't you go up there. You're going to get hissed at. Don't you dare. See, she's being like, no, you can't go up there. I'm sorry. You got to go elsewhere. You'll make her mad and then she'll leave. Okay, I need to finish up. I'm so distracted because the supervisor showed up. Okay, that's not wet enough. That's part of my problem. I was like dry brushing technique on that and I didn't intend to. Christina, do you know what you're going to want this time? Like, what are you going to want this week? And again, if you can't be there for the live, I'll post it on my YouTube and then you can go and visit and hopefully enjoy it as much as you did this last one. The cat just jumped on my shoulder. That did not feel good. Oh my God. You're so cute and so annoying. Okay, I'm almost done, I promise. She's probably hungry. She's like, can you get me some soft food? That would be great. And she's back. Yeah, you stay there. There we go. All I had to do was add a little bit of water, and then all of a sudden that dry brush stroke went away. Okay. I think that's pretty much done. The watercolor part, I think, is pretty much done. All right, well, Christina, you message me and you let me know, okay? Darling kitten, you cannot be on top of me right now. Let me do one more. No, I'm going to go in with a little bit more in here, I think. Just a little bit. I know I could be overdoing it, but what's overdoing a painting among friends, right? No, you leave her alone. Don't. Go away. She doesn't want you there. Actually just kind of like pulling this in a little bit because the shape looks a little wonky. So I'm just thinning out the body a little. And then I'm going to just spread it out with water. No more paint, just water. Softening that hard edge up like that. Don't you be starting stuff. I'm serious. Get out of here. She did nothing to you. She doesn't want to play with you. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. It does not look exactly like this, but that's okay. So we've got this guy here. This was the original. This was the inspiration. And this is the one that I did. I'm going to add a little bit of mixed media over the top. I'm not going to overdo it because I feel like it does have a lot going for it without too much extra. I'm trying to think. What I might do is, let me add it to my shop so you guys can see. I'm probably just going to use my Bear crayons. I know you guys have heard me talk about that over and over again. And if you haven't, they're a watercolor medium that's dry, but like oil pastels, but there's no oil in them. They're just water, and you can blend with them, and they do really fun things. But they're just highly satisfying to play with and to paint with. Sorry about the noise. I'm going to push this up to the top so you guys can see it. Here we go. Okay. But what I'm going to do instead, I don't think I'm going to put it right on the paper. So here's the crayons. They're twistable. They're marketed towards kids. They're from Jupiter Earth. They're twistable Bear crayons, non-toxic, washable. You can add water to them. You can use your fingers. They're really fun. They're really fun tools to blend with. I know some of you who are here have them as well. So I'm just going to grab this. Wait. No. Hold on. I'm looking. We're going to use this peach. And I'm just going to soften this up a little bit. I'm almost done. Okay. Do we know when the kids are coming home?
Sometime afternoon.
Okay.
Or noonish.
Okay, because it's almost noonish. That's why I was wondering if you had heard. Because obviously I've not been paying attention to any texts that you guys have been having. And then I just blend this out. And it just softens up and lightens up maybe some areas that I feel like I maybe lost some of the lightness to. It's not super obvious, but it's got just a hint. And this does not come with the kit. This is from my personal art supplies. Okay. So the kit does not have this, but you could do this with regular colored pencils. You could do it with actual oil pastels. You could do it with watercolor crayons, watercolor pencils. You could do it with anything. But just adding even wax crayons, you could do that over the top and it would be really fun. I'm going to grab some of this blue, this one, because I feel like, let's make sure this is dry. I'm just going to hit it up one more time with the heat just to make sure because I don't want to ruin it. I worked too hard. They're not oil, but they feel like oil. And they do come off. Like you can easily wash them off of your hands when you're done. They're so if I go over this just a little bit, just to lighten it up, and I rub it out. And then I go like that sounded really bad. I add that little bit of blue there, and I use my finger to blend. It just adds that blue from the original that I feel like this doesn't have enough of. But again, I don't want to overdo it because I think I did a lot right on this painting. I just want a little bit more of that light blue. And I want it in this section especially. Not that there's anything wrong with the yellows in there, but so much of that, I keep saying petal and leaf, so much of that wing has that light blue in it. This one here. So I'm just trying to bring it back a little bit. Just a little bit. It doesn't need to be a lot. And it's all about like just balancing it out. So it looks like it's got some intentionality there. It does look a little scruffy right now, but that's okay. I'm going to add some other blues in here to blend with it. I'm going to do it up here too, kind of at the top a little bit. I might even add some white. And then I just blend with my finger like that. And then I'm going to use some of the white. You can see I use the white a lot. It's a great little tool to add some lightness to a piece. So even if I went over like this part, this darker part, I'm just blend it in. It's just real soft. And it's just really satisfying. Honestly, I can put it on any spot of this butterfly. And it just lightens it up in certain spots. If that's a vibe, if that's what you want. Is the reference is absolutely in their kit. Yes. It's not in the gardening kit though. The other kit that I have with the very like detailed illustrations. Let me see. This one, I did not see a reference in that one. So this one I have to kind of figure out on my own, which is probably for the best anyways. There's a lot of detail in that. But yeah, I did not see a reference in that. I'll ask them though if there was a reference and maybe I just missed it. But yeah, I like adding this stuff in here because I do feel like it you know me, I like my mixed medias. And it just creates this like texture over the piece that really just kind of vibes with my personal style. And if I'm like going over some of this, because I did not glaze this piece when I was finished, it is softening up some of those polka dots that I put on there. Is that dry? Is the question? Yes. Dry enough. And then blending. And in here, right there, right over the black spots that I did. And then just blending. And it won't move the pigment as long as you don't use water. You can use water. I could absolutely put water in here and it would blend out, which is really cool. But the others are for you to get creative. Maybe. I'll ask them. I'm not actually sure. They're very specific butterflies. Yeah, so that's why I do try and kind of keep to this and I keep going back and forth with it. It's not going to be an exact replica, but it's good enough, I guess. All right, I think I'm done with those crayons. Like I said, I didn't really want to overdo it. I am just going to go in and use my last little pencil here. This is a watercolor pencil as well. It's not included in the kit. These are Stabilo pencils. They're very soft as well. They don't blend like these crayons do. They're not blendy and they're not in my shop. So you'd have to go looking elsewhere for them. They don't have them in the shop as far as I could tell. And if they did, they're probably have extraordinary shipping costs. I like them because I can sharpen them to a fine point like this and I can get in and make some more like little detail bits. Just this. It doesn't seem to show any disconnect in there between this wing and this wing, so I'm not going to put a line there. I like to kind of bring attention to the curves and connections of the original sketch. And then also kind of add a little bit of line work to other parts. You stupid cat. She just jumped right on top of the other one like she could. And the cat's like, I don't think so. You stupid animal. She's like, what are you thinking? It's okay, honey. You're all right. I'm like comforting the adult cat right now because she looks so like irritated. Whereas the kitten's like, what did you just do to me? Oh, I forgot. I'm going to go do something else. And all I do is I just bring attention to make the piece pop maybe a little more on top of that watercolor. It also kind of unites the mixed media that I already put over the top too. And it can also like highlight some of the lighter layers that are in the piece. I don't outline everything. You can also add shadow and stuff in this, but I'm not going to do that too much because then I'll lose some of the color. And then I think it's done. I think I finished it, guys. I think I finished it. So this was the original. It's not exactly the same, but pretty darn good, I would say. Not too bad. I'm still here. Well, I needed to finish this butterfly, Bindi. I could not leave and not finish the butterfly. And I started at 9:30. So 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. Ooh, I've been on here for 2.5 hours. Go me. I'm not coming on tonight, though. I refuse. I'll be on tomorrow, though. Lifelike, right? I do love using these pencils. I do think they just bring pop. I forgot to do it up here. I want to do it at the tip of this wing as well. They bring pop and attention to parts of the piece that get lost, like the sketchy parts underneath that kind of get lost in the painting. And rather than use regular pencil, you can use regular pencil, this just pops a little bit more. And because I already put in all of that texture in here, which again, if you put a watercolor brush to this, you could blend it out and make it look real soft and pretty. I just like putting this in, instead of using ink, it gives it a sketchy vibe and it matches with the texture of what I've already done. So I don't know when I'll be able to go live today, if at all, going to a market in a few minutes. Oh, Cricket, you're here. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Well, you do you, friend. Don't go live today. You go live every day. And I love hearting your lives because you're such a vibe and you're just so honest and for real. Guys, if you're not following Cricket, Cricket is fabulous. And Cricket does macrame and the most beautiful macrame work. Fabulous. Like I want to buy all of it. I can't buy all of it, but I want to. And maybe someday I will. I'll save up some money because there's definitely something I'm eyeing right now for sure, Cricket. There's definitely something in your Etsy shop that I've been eyeing. I really like those feather macrames that you have on the hanger. They're so pretty. You use your makeup pencil sharpener? That's so smart. Yeah, so check out Cricket. Definitely check them out. They do lives every day and they're just a vibe. They're so like calming and I love watching them like work with their knots and braiding and all that stuff. So cool. You're welcome. All right. So butterfly number 3 is done. I've done, what did I do? I did this one. I did the Luna moth. I did this one, which was the, this one's the Luna moth. I did that one. You can see I have the mixed media in there. Do you see like all the little like scribbly stuff? I think I used just dry crayons for that one though. I didn't use the bare crayons on that one. I did this one. I don't think this has as much. No, it does. Look it. Of course it has mixed media in it. I can't leave things alone. I just got to really lean into it. I love the colors in this one. That one turned out really good. And then I got this one. 1, 2, 3. Oh, really? Yeah, the markets are really hard. They're really, really hard. I did one market and I feel like no matter how many times I try to prepare, I'm never prepared enough. The last market I did with my crocheted stuff mostly and some in my paintings. Nobody bought a single painting, but I think partially because I just didn't set it up properly. People thought they were coming to a fiber artist table and they got both fiber art and they got paintings. And, you know, the kids want to come to the fiber art tables because that stuff is all really fun and cute. Isn't it so pretty? But yeah, and I remember like I sold stuff, but I didn't sell any paintings. I only sold my amigurumis. And I didn't have a tent because I thought they were providing the tents. I don't know why I thought that. I think they told me, but then they weren't. The person who was supposed to be at the market was late and there were already people there set up. So then I'm like setting up and, you know, waiting for table and then setting up the table and then rushing. Like I spent a full hour for my first market just trying to be prepared while other people were there selling. It was so frustrating, but yeah, it was very stressful. It was very stressful. It went well. I wasn't unhappy at the end. I was like, okay, for a first market, I think I did pretty well. I didn't have any money issues. That was good because that always scares me a little bit. But all right, so these are the butterflies. I did not do all 3 of these today. I just did this one. And this one obviously took me quite some time, but highly satisfying and really great if you just want to sit down and not think, hi, Jay, and not think about what you want to create today. It's already sketched for you and they have multiple kits. Here are the other ones. And that one's got a little bit of smush on it. I'll have to clean that up later. More butterflies, more moths. I'm really looking forward to this one, actually. This is the one my son calls the tiger. Or no, not the tiger, the cow. The cow moth. So I'm really looking forward to doing that one. He might actually take that one from me. And then this is the garden one that they have. I have not started this yet. I really need to because I want to make an ad for them. But yeah, I'm going to start doing this. This intimidates me a lot more than the other ones do because of the background aspect. But we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. It's going to be amazing. And if it's not, I'll just learn, you know? Oh, yeah, we're back to the beginning. So, and then remember all of this stuff that comes with the kit. You get this little thing, which, you know, I'm not super fond of because of the, I feel like it just soaks in the water and then I can't access the water very much. But you can honestly still get by just fine with this if you needed to. But I'm bougie and I need to, you know, have my supplies. And then the paints they provide with everything else. So you get all of these paints, these little dot cards that are made by the company and the company's affiliates. Not a brand name by any means, all small business, women owned. And then they come with their little swatch card, which I actually swatched for you today, guys. I feel like I should have gotten more praise for that. But I did swatch, and I actually did find it actually helpful. I mean, as much as I complain. And I think it took up probably most of this live. It was swatching this silly color palette. But it did actually help because when I was going back and referencing their reference guide, I was actually able to use that swatch guide pretty well. Oh, I know. You know what? I will let them know, Janster. I will contact them and say, I have people requesting a Sea Life kit. I'm certain they would do that. I'm absolutely certain that they would. Or at least look into it, right? Because I know they've got a bunch going on already. I know they have some mini kits too. Oh, I just got another smooshie on the bottom. What the heck, man? Hold on. I can't leave this without cleaning it like right now. Yeah, I will absolutely reach out and let them know. I'm sure that if they aren't doing it, if they aren't doing it already, I'm sure they would happily take the advice. All right, so I'm going to try and clean off this little pinky thing. Yay. Okay, it's all better. I need to like put this down and not touch things anymore. And then of course, it also comes with this little brush, which for the average person is going to be perfectly fine. But CJ says that I'm bougie, or I say that I'm bougie, and he agrees with me. So, but it comes with everything that you could need. Everything that you could need. I would just argue that if you have your own brush set, especially when it comes to like these fine details, you're going to want a smaller brush size for that. I do. That's just really necessary for me. And for me, this size 1 round is probably what I would have in hand with this. And this is also in the shop. Oh, I hope so too, Tabby. If I don't know how long you were here, maybe for a while. I feel like you were here for a while, Tabby. But if you have the opportunity and you need to like want to see other tutorials, I'm just posting all of my lives over on YouTube, the full gamut when I can, because I just feel like it's really helpful and it doesn't really cost anything and it's not too much work on my end. I just have to download and upload and give a couple of descriptions and it's not a big deal. So I will load that up there as well. But thank you so much for coming and hanging and doing all of the things and chatting with me and my ridiculous friends, CJ. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to support small artists and to get that back with all of my little fan club people up in the Heart Me section. And I appreciate you. And Christina, I appreciate you for my little kitten goal. I love that. And just let me know, of course, what you would like me to paint this week. Okay, Christina, because Christina got me one of my little kitten goals at the top. So, all right. Bye, guys. Have a great rest of your day.